Here we are today. This is Identity Capture 101. Otherwise, I'm David Harmon. This is the Maple Seed Incorporated's channel for the news, commentary. Today we're going to look at Trump refuses to adhere to global carbon tax on shipping. It's commentary. The United States will vote no to global carbon tax proposed by the International Maritime Organization October 17th. President Donald said on True Social. This is a good thing. It's a really good thing. This carbon tax scam needs to end because it's only on first world countries. It's only on us, not our competitors. The Asians never vote for it. They never pay into it except for Japan. Because first world, remember we had that conversation about first world. This is just communism through another doorway, which is why they keep focusing on the exact same countries the Soviet Union determined to be first world. So you have to understand that a carbon tax is a tax on production. It's not waste, not consumption, just production. Whereas a tax on consumption would force the economy to adapt to a more durable methodology, a more durable economy, where things would have greater renewability and greater reusability. A flat carbon tax it's flat for now. It might be graded and progressive at a later date because we know how politicians are. They always start out with a flat tax. It's how the IRS started out, as everybody had a flat tax rate. And then some socialists, open socialists, involved with the Marxist societies back in 1932 decided to create a progressive tax, and they passed it in the New Deal, and that's what we have now is a progressive tax. And the only thing that's changed since, the man in the wheelchair passed it because he was a communist was nothing. Exceptions in the tax rate itself. That's the only thing that's changed. At one point, the top 10% or top 1% of the country was paying 90%. You heard me correctly. 90% of their income was being paid to the federal government. It's obscene. A guy is generating billions of dollars a year in revenue, and they're taking 90% of it. It's insane. It's obscene. It's greed. It's bureaucrats taking stuff they never earned so they can give themselves pay raises and throw a little bit out to their foot soldiers, their black bloc or their red bloc, whatever bloc of Antifa or fascist or terrorists that they're employing that day. And that's basically how they work. So here we are looking at the system as it is, and Donald Trump is saying no carbon tax credit, which would be nice because the international community does not precede the United States of America. And this idea that we should be adhering to this loose coalition of nobody because the UN doesn't exist without the United States propping it up is ridiculous, but that is where it is. And that will lead us into the economy by quality of life instead of GDP. I've stated this before. I stated this back when I first formed America First, that we have seen a standard of living drop since the Great Depression. Our standard of living has decreased. And some people say, we have this new technology, this, that, and the other thing. The amount of impact of technology that we have that supposedly raises our standard of living doesn't actually raise our standard of living. It degrades our health. It degrades our ability to not have to purchase or be retaxed again and again and again and again. Basically, like the only standard of living increase we've had since the Great Depression, outside of penicillin, would be treatments for cancer, but cancer's only increased. So that's not really a standard of living increase or an improvement in standard of living. Television is not really an improvement in standard of living because it's a one-way communication device, and we've seen an entire generation get indoctrinated by television, and it's done literally nothing for us. It's actually impoverished us because that entire generation made some of the most unbelievably stupid choices, some of the most unbelievably ignorant steps, and voted in some of the most ridiculous ways we have ever seen. They voted for a man who refused to release his college transcripts, which is standard for any presidential candidate, when he goes up on stage and tells everyone that he's a Harvard constitutional lawyer, instructor, or professor. And still waiting on that. Still waiting on those transcripts. It's 2025, still haven't seen them. But this isn't the conversation we're trying to have. What we're saying is the standard of living is degrading slowly. And we see that. We see that in society. The incidence of violence has only gone up. Our violence level is skyrocketed. And we used to think it was bad in the 60s. Oh, they just covered it up because, oh my goodness, the KKK lynched somebody. Yeah, that is nothing compared to the average day where you see people using crazy stuff to assault people. You have no idea. I've seen people getting drugged and raped in public and nobody does a thing. Nothing. Nobody does a damn thing for them. I've seen people get drugged and jumped, and hypnotized, and all this other stuff. People drugging people with hypnotics and other stuff, and amnesiatics. It's crazy. I have seen some crazy things. And you know what? I was on a college campus, and they were talking about rape culture in 2016. I witnessed it. Buying that stuff right off of the ambulance, too. Scared of stability of our livelihoods and financial future. Yeah, we don't have one. We're $37 trillion in debt. None of the social safety net has a future. None of it. Literally none of it. There is no way it has a future. You can either have a welfare system or you can have a border. That's going to be your choice. At the very end of the day, you can't have both. You don't get to have both because a social safety net will collapse without a border, and a social safety net will collapse with a border. They are both going to collapse if you try to have both. You can only have a border. That's just the way it is. And unfortunately, we have a lot of 1950 era Republicans that were born in the 50s and the late 40s and very, very early 60s that haven't figured out that socialism doesn't work. Eisenhower was wrong. Johnson was wrong. Roosevelt was wrong. They were all wrong. FDR was terrible. Hoover was a disaster. These policies need to go away. These laws, these constructs have to go away. There's no way the United States is going to survive. And if you think that, if you're one of these Antifa people that has to say, no this, no that, no KKK USA or something like that, whatever they say, I try to ignore that group because I had one encounter with them and that was more than enough. They are terrorists. They are legitimately terrorists. If you're one of those people that think you can have a borderless society like George Soros, it's not going to happen because it's going to be one group of people that ends up being a slave. And we already know what kind of people are going to end up being slaves. My kind. My people are going to be slaves. We already know that. You've already said it out loud. You're going to try and enslave me, and the funniest thing is there's no reason why. Oh, wait, you don't care because you're sociopaths. The only thing you care about is your own comfort. We don't want to have this conversation about health or obesity. Obesity is terrible. Loneliness. I'm going to be honest with you. I sat in a room with like 30 people once this week. more alone sitting in that room with 30 people than I was sitting in my own home by myself. I had nothing in common with anyone in that building. I was the only non-former inmate, non-convict in that room. Like, I was the only person that I know hadn't spent significant chunks in jail or prison. I was the only person in that room that was male, that was also white, that met all three of those criteria. I didn't even have to go into the fact, veteran status or any of this. I didn't have to go and touch any of that. Just in that room, those three categories, I was the only one. In like 30 people. That's crazy. In the United States, in the Midwest, I was one of just those three categories. I was the only person. I would be even rare if we counted everything else, and that's not okay. You're saying loneliness epidemic. I have been alone my entire life. I understand completely why. I grew up in an area that was predominantly white, and I went into the military, and I was gone for a few years. I came back, and now it's all Mexicans, or whatever. I don't even know what they are. I can't even. I don't want to go around saying, "Hey, are you a Mexican? Are you a Mexican?" I mean, obviously the black guys, they're obviously black. But the other people, I don't even know. There used to be a thing, a mystery meat. It's very offensive and racist, I understand. Very offensive and racist. But you look at them like, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know. I'm not even going to guess. And when they start speaking to me and it's in an accent, or they don't speak to me in English, I'm just like, I don't want to talk to you. And it's not because I'm racist. Well, maybe it is. You're racist, you won't learn a language. Well, first of all, it's not your language, and I'm too old to care. I'm in my 40s. I don't care about Spanish. I'm never going to learn it. I don't care about it. I'd rather learn French, Russian, or master German or Dutch. Well, and that goes into that standard of living or that quality of life. I have a negative quality of life. I had to spend the day in court, or rather going to the courtroom or courthouse today, for the simple purpose that they sent me the bill after they dismissed the case. And I had to go in there and tell them, I'm not paying this. I can't pay it. I'm broke. You took all my money in the 18 months that I could not find employment because you wouldn't let the case, you wouldn't drop the case, you wouldn't dismiss it. The previous DA was trying to put me in jail. She wanted me in jail for 6 months. And it turns out, revealed, we did the discovery, the DA came out and said, this basically was an unlawful arrest on audio. The judge said it, like this is not what the witness said, and the cop wrote down lies in the police report. So, like I said, 2 years ago, all over X and all over the internet, this was an unlawful arrest. None of that even occurred, and the deputy lied. And then I got attacked, banned, blocked, and shadow banned on X, Facebook, TikTok, and another app. I don't even remember. I was blocked, banned, and then shadow banned when I came back. Round of applause. Round of applause. Yeah, Nick Fuentes is definitely the most persecuted white man in the American First Movement here. Yeah, sure thing. Did he get told he had to convert to Judaism or get turned gay? Because that's what Chabad Lubavitch told me.